internet! Welcome to another episode of Coy Cubed. This is going to be the second to last episode that's going to be this long format. I'm taking a break for my birthday, which is September 15th, so that week I'm going to be taking completely off, and during that week I think I'm going to come back with a new format. So we're going to be doing 2 episodes a week. So I'm thinking on Tuesdays and Fridays we're going to have Coy Cubed, but it's going to be half an hour. So I figure that way it'll appeal to people that want shorter form content, as well as the YouTube algorithm that likes shorter form content, as well as getting you guys more consistent news. So instead of doing a week's worth of news every Tuesday, we'll be able to do Tuesday, we'll do comic book recommendations for the next day, and then on Friday we'll review those comics. So we'll be able to cycle that on Tuesdays and Fridays, and then hopefully I can catch movies on Thursday to review for you guys on Friday. Tuesday we can do news. I think it'll be a cool new format. So that's going to be kicking off when we get back after my birthday break. So expect this to be the penultimate hour-long episode as we break into a 30-minute-ish, 35 format going forward. So I think that we'll see how that goes. I mean, worst case we change it back to an hour, but I think Tuesdays and Fridays going forward, probably about 3 o'clock is the plan. So this is a bittersweet episode because it is both the first new 2020 theatrical review I get to do since March. With March, we had the chaos of COVID, but we also got The Gentleman, we got a couple movies in there, and we haven't been able to review a movie for 5 full months, almost 6 months. So New Mutants is the first movie I got to see theatrically since March, so we'll be talking about that. We're also going to be remembering Chadwick Boseman. That's the bitter part of the bittersweet. I didn't know him personally, but the outpouring from everyone that did, plus I got to meet him once, plus just, his impact on cinema cannot be overstated. So we'll be talking about Chadwick Boseman. We'll also be talking about the Schmoedown that just went down. Kevin Smith, Chris Jericho Schmoedown. That is going to be talked about. I'm very excited about that. We got some Black Adam updates. We got some Ant-Man 3 updates. And then, of course, comic book pull lists and streaming recommendations. So, as you can tell, this needs to be a full-hour episode. But, as I said, by the end of the month, we're going to be going to 2 half-hour episodes. So, plan your viewing accordingly. And actually, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments what you guys think about 2 half-hour versus 1 hour, and that'll shape, how we go going forward. And thank you for the happy birthday in the chat. I got 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, I might do a stream on my birthday. But I don't want to plan on it in case I don't feel like it because it's my day. So I haven't decided yet. My birthday's on a Tuesday. Maybe we'll do a stream. Haven't decided yet. I definitely don't want to prep news and stuff because it's my goddamn birthday. But maybe spontaneous birthday stream will happen depending on how we're feeling. All right, into the news. I am very, very, very excited to talk about New Mutants. This movie has been delayed 5 times. This movie was supposed to come out over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. This movie was originally due out in April of 2018. This is a film that was shot at the same time as Deadpool 2 and Dark Phoenix. This is a movie that could not have more build-up. It's the first theatrical release back. It's the end of the X-Men saga, and it's been delayed 5 times for 2.5 years. That is so impossible to live up to, and I had fun. I really, really liked it. I give it like a B+. That would probably put it in the 3.5 star range. If you're a star person, it's probably like a 8.4. If you're a ratings out of 10 person, it's somewhere in there for me. It was, for me, my own personal opinion, about halfway, a little less than halfway in the overall 13 X-Men movie rankings. We're going to conclude this review with a ranking of the X-Men films. If you'd like visuals for what I think of the X-Men films in a poster gallery, check my Instagram, check my Twitter. I've got them all ranked that way. But as far as New Mutants itself, I thought the tone was super inventive and interesting. As ever, I love the MCU, I love the DCEU, I love these giant shared universes, but I also personally really enjoy when a movie can feel like its own thing. The MCU, though it diversifies, and though it, Guardians of the Galaxy is a very different film than Winter Soldier, is a very different film than Infinity War, there's an MCU flavor. And that's why I like the Sony Marvel films, like your Venoms and your strange, Craven films that are going to be coming out. But I also really like that the Fox universe was able to do its own thing. So with the Fox universe, the X-Men films always felt very different. That was with some success and some failure. To me, the X-Men universe is 80% good. I'd say the bottom 4 films are not great, but the top 9, now that we've got 13 films out, are very solid. For me, 9 out of 13 is an incredible ratio. I don't know if that actually breaks out to 80%, but 9 out of 13 I think are very, very solid. So for me, the X-Men films were a breath of fresh air while we were building this universe. The X-Men 1 came out in the year 2000. That is the year before Spider-Man. That's before all of this insanity kicked off. It was a very different time. So you've got to give some respect on the X-Men movies' names because they really started what the mainstream superhero film franchise was. I consider Blade the movie that started off the superhero kick that we got, but X-Men really were the mainstream team and a blockbuster flavored film that brought us to the MCU. So a lot of love for the X-Men films, but what they did really interestingly was they took chances. Some of those landed, like your Logans, some of those didn't, like your X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I think New Mutants is one of those that did land. It definitely had some pacing issues. There was a decent amount of the second act that I was like, okay, what are we doing? And that's also really interesting because it's a tricky tone. You're balancing John Hughes and Stephen King. You're making a slow burn drama with teen romance and melodrama, which is very Chris Claremont, which is very X-Men, which is very New Mutants, but you're balancing that with your Stephen King horror, your One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, closed set, trapped in one location flavor, which is very New Mutants, and the other side of Claremont, and very much Sienkiewicz, that Sienkiewicz flavor, which is beautifully mirrored in this film. If you're a fan of Sienkiewicz, there's a lot of imagery in this movie for you, especially in the third act. Now, the movie itself, the casting, I think, is exceptional. There's some shitty statements made by the director about the casting that I had to separate from when watching the film, but when you're in the movie, the characters feel like the characters from the comics. I really enjoyed the fact that everyone in the movie, I bought Maisie Williams as Rain, who I've loved forever. I don't know how to pronounce her name because I only see it in writing in comic books. I really liked Anya Taylor-Joy as Magic. Magic is one of my all-time favorite X-Men. I really, really enjoyed Cannonball because he's one of my top 20 favorite X-Men. Maybe 25, but Anya makes top 20. The Magic's definitely top 20. But these are X-Men, there's hundreds of them, and these are some of my favorite characters, and I really thought the actors portrayed them as I would have wished. It was a very hard PG-13. It wasn't the hardest PG-13 I've ever seen, like some of the quotes, but it was certainly a very hard PG-13, and I thought the cast really, really felt like a team. They felt like their characters. They felt like their appropriate ages. The movie felt like they were a bunch of heroes that was going to defend a world that hated and feared them. It felt more like X-Men than arguably some of the Singer films. I have often said Bryan Singer makes exceptional mutant movies, but he doesn't really make X-Men movies. I think the closest to an X-Men movie he made was Days of Future Past. But even that, there was that weird heroine Xavier storyline. There was that weird Beast transforming back and forth bullshit. There was the Kitty Pryde having telekinetic transmuting Wolverine's body through time powers. Those are giant knocks for me. Those were, I get you have to adapt a storyline, but those weren't character decisions that make sense. Xavier's heroine thing doesn't make sense for the character. Beast changing back and forth negates his entire acceptance of who he is, which is a huge part of the character. And Kitty Pryde's bullshit, fuck that. So for me, Days of Future Past was the closest, and then the rest were just good mutant movies. But Bryan Singer had to develop that tone to get to the point where we could make a movie that close to being X-Men. X-Men 2 was also damn close, but you're working with PG-13 constraints, you're adapting God Loves, Man Kills, which is very dense, much longer than a blockbuster story to tell, you're also trying to tie it in Phoenix. There's a lot of things you've got to do to make an X-Men movie. We haven't really gotten one yet. I've been waiting for a good X-Men movie, and for my money, and this is controversial and it's my opinion, I think X-Men First Class is the closest to an X-Men movie we've gotten. I think Days of Future Past is right there next to it, but I think First Class is a little more X-Men-y. The costumes are more appropriate. The age of the characters felt more like the X-Men. They felt more ostracized. I don't love that they killed the character that shouldn't have been able to be killed first. There were some choices made. I didn't always like Shaw, but we've not got a full X-Men movie. I do think this was closer to a New Mutants movie than the average X-Men movie. So it captured the horror tone, it captured the drama, it captured a lot of the things I was really looking for, and it moved along at a really quick pace. I really liked the tone of the film because we kept moving the whole time. I really liked that the film kept you guessing if you didn't know the storyline or did know the storyline. It was fun for comic fans and newbies to New Mutants alike. I think it's good enough it'll get people to read New Mutants, and that to me is always the backdoor pilot. You know, I always want someone to be like, oh, this movie, I liked it, let's go pick up the comic books. To me, every movie or TV show is a backdoor pilot for people picking up the original source material. I liked it a lot. I think a lot of people are going into it with very incorrect expectations. It's got a 30-something% Rotten Tomatoes, which definitely feels like, And I just don't understand why people are seeing it this way. It's a very enjoyable film. It's got a bunch of scares. It definitely feels like an 80s horror movie, early 90s horror movie. It has that Scream meets the Frighteners tone. I'm a huge fan of the slasher early 90s era. I don't particularly enjoy horror movies, but I really like the Scream movies because they're kind of tongue-in-cheek. I love Cabin in the Woods. That's my kind of horror. And this captures some of that trapped but self-aware horror that I really like. And light spoilers, the lightest of light spoilers. These have been revealed in previs and everything else, but for me to finish this review out, I gotta give some light spoilers. So skip ahead like 3 minutes if you're watching this later. If you're watching this live, plug your ears. A couple minutes of spoilers. The third act is so frickin' X-Men. Demon Bear is everything you want Demon Bear to be. Demon Bear is a powerhouse of Sienkiewicz glory. Lockheed, who is teased throughout the film, is actually made available. I love that. Cannonball starts to be the Cannonball we know and love. I really think that the third act of this film was everything the movie could have been, with more budget, more time, more trust, all of the things you want and are able to trickily have in these studio systems. The third act is incredible. The movie has some patchy moments in the first and second act, but the third act, they become the New Mutants and they all fully embody the characters. Everyone gets to be exactly who they are. Sunspot powers up. Everyone is at full novice power, and it's a freaking X-Men movie. I really, it went from being a B to almost a B+. I'm still not sure where it goes, but B+, because of that third act. Demon Bear looked so much better than I ever expected. Demon Bear is just, it's one of my favorite visuals of the last year of cinema, which isn't saying a lot, but we'll say 2 years. One of my favorite visuals of the last 2 years of cinema, and we're getting, we're getting the weirder characters I never thought we'd get, like Lockheed. We're getting to make these bold chances because we're not just trying to make streamlined blockbusters, and I think that's really important. So please check out New Mutants. It was a good time. It was closer to being a New Mutants movie than a lot of the X-Men movies are being to X-Men movies. It was at points some of the negatives, some of the cons. I've given a lot of the pros. Some of the accents didn't land consistently. They were kind of hit or miss. There were moments of a little bit of pacing issues where it stalled a little bit. And there were a couple times that I was definitely aware that the budget restraints were there. But those were 3 very small foibles in the overall enjoyment of the film. I really liked the experience that was New Mutants, and it was really cool to be at a drive-in. I loved being at a drive-in theater. I loved the fact that I got to experience that, I don't want concessions because it doesn't feel safe, but look, a concession stand. I was in a car watching a movie on a big screen, and the sound I was experiencing was great because it's all in through FM. I felt like I was in the movies a little bit. It was like a half movie experience, which is more than I've had in 5 months. So New Mutants, see it at a drive-in, see it wherever you can that's safe, see it big, see it loud, all the things I always say. It felt like cinema, it felt like a movie, it felt like the goddamn New Mutants, and it felt that much closer to X-Men. B+, highly recommend you checking out. I don't give B or B pluses lightly, and let's break down my breakdown of the X-Men in order of my personal favoritism, and then we'll get to some Streamlabs and Super Chats, because y'all are sweethearts, and I saw a couple pop up while I was talking. We're going to do those right after this breakdown. So, my personal X-Men film ranking is as follows. Logan. Logan's number 1. That is an A+ film. That is 4.5 stars. It's almost 5. It might be 5. I don't remember. It actually might be 5. Logan is damn near perfect. It is A+. I love it so very much. Next up, Deadpool. I think the first Deadpool is a testament to nonlinear storytelling. I think it captures the heart of Deadpool, which is way harder to capture than the comedy of Deadpool. I think Ryan Reynolds was born to play Deadpool. And that first film really just was that. And it also landed X-Men more than a lot of the X-Men movies for me. I really thought Negasonic Teenage Warhead was somehow the ostracized, I don't want to be here, but I'm stuck at Xavier School, that I feel like the movies didn't really capture, and then Colossus was better than that. Anyway, the first Deadpool for me is also that 4.5, almost 5 star, almost A+. Those are the 2 that are the highest for me. My number 3 in the X-Men rankings is X-Men First Class. I mentioned it in my New Mutants review. X-Men First Class is, I feel, the closest we've gotten to an X-Men movie, not just a Mutants movie. I feel like they understood the tonality of the world. I feel like they understood the melodrama as well as the costumes, as well as the power set. It didn't feel like it was just a shiny blockbuster. It was shiny, but with purpose. I like the characters chosen. I like the boldness of the film. I like the directing. I think Matt Vaughn's an absolute genius. X-Men First Class is the highest of my X-Men films, ranking at number 3 of my Fox X-Men films. Next up, X2. X2 had a lot to live up to with how well the first X-Men did. It had a lot of ground to cover. It tried to do a lot of storytelling at once. It really, really had its work cut out for it, and it still holds up. It is a 20-year-old movie, which is terrifying to think about, almost 20-year-old movie, that really stood the test of time with all these other comic book movies that have come out since. The Berserker Rage in that film is incredible. The opening scene at the White House with Nightcrawler is so memorable. X-Men 2 is right up there with X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past for me. It's like a three-way tie for third, which I couldn't actually do because that's not fair. But X2, X-Men First Class, and X-Men Days of Future Past are all kind of interchangeable, but X2 gets a lot of credit for doing it way earlier than a lot of the other films did. This movie came out 6 years before the MCU started. 2002 was a very different time for comic book films. So X-Men 2 is my number 4. My number 5, X-Men Days of Future Past. It is a very solid mutant movie. It's like an A minus. They made a lot of character decisions that didn't need to be made and didn't really fit with the characters they were in the movies or with the characters they were in the comics, and that's always going to be offensive to me. I really liked the combining of the First Class team and the Singer team. I really liked the tone of the film. I loved the stuff with Wolverine, and I think that's next to Logan, Hugh Jackman's best portrayal of Wolverine. Days of Future Past feels like very close to the X-Men animated series, and I love that. I feel like we got a great Magneto. X-Men Days of Future Past is very close. Again, three-way tie for third, but my number 5. All right, next bracket, into number 6. X-Men, the first one, changed comic book movies, is a very different thing from everything we'd had before it. Blade was without Blade we wouldn't have X-Men, and without Blade we wouldn't have comic book movies, but X-Men really made the mainstream comic book movie possible. Came out in the year 2000, long before we had the MCU. Its casting was bold. Hugh Jackman was a complete unknown. He was a last-minute casting choice after Doug Ray Scott broke his hand in Mission Impossible 2. We had a mix-matched but bitch of ages. We didn't really have any teens, and that's how I see the X-Men. They also didn't really go 90s Jim Lee X-Men. It's like its own thing, but the heart's there. You can feel the world oppression. You can feel these characters trying to figure out where they belong in the world, and I think that's really important. So that's my number 6, the original X-Men. Some of the dialogue's rough. The villains don't quite land for me. It doesn't quite feel like the Brotherhood, so that's why it's a little lower. But still, a B+ bordering on A- for me, X-Men. My next up, Deadpool 2. This is another B+ bordering on A-. Deadpool 2 didn't have the heart of the first movie for me. It didn't feel like it took its time. It felt like it was putting a lot of things into one package. It's very funny. The directing is incredible. The action is second to none. It is truly a powerhouse of a film, but it feels like a little hollow. It feels like a new writer just took over Deadpool. They haven't found their tone yet. It feels like a new set of people love this character and they're figuring it out. Ryan Reynolds is still Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds is still Deadpool. He's Deadpool in his Mint Mobile commercials sometimes. He just breaks into that character. There's a ness to Ryan Reynolds that gets Deadpool, but I feel like the rest of the things around him kind of sullied the experience for me. I feel like they had to do a lot in one movie, and I like the super duper cut a lot more, but I can't count other cuts of the film. I'm talking about release cuts. So B+, A-. It's a decent amount away from the first Deadpool for me. Deadpool 1 is an almost A+. This one's like a B+, so it's a different experience. I thought Deadpool 2 didn't quite make the same impact with heart that Deadpool 1 did, for what it's worth. I love the love story of Deadpool 1, and they didn't really allow for that in the second one by the story choices. I'm wondering if we ever get a Deadpool 3, what direction they'll go. Because I hear we're going to get a Deadpool 3 in X-Force, but that was back when Fox was running things. Anyway, doesn't matter. Deadpool 2 is my number 7. My next up, The New Mutants. You just heard my whole review on The New Mutants. The New Mutants is my number 8. It is a little less than halfway. It is a B, bordering on B+. So now we're in the B range. You just heard my review. You don't need to hear it again, but very close to New Mutants to me. Got a great inventive tone, is a genre film, is bold, is fun. I really enjoyed it. New Mutants is number 8. Number 9, The Wolverine. The first 2 acts of The Wolverine are an A-. The third act is so bad it drops the entire film down to a C+, B- for me. The third act just falls off the rails. There's so much great world building. There's so much great Hugh Jackman. There's so much genius James Mangold directing. And then all of a sudden the Silver Samurai is just this awful character. So The Wolverine is a 2/3 incredible film, but a lot like Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman stayed an A-. Wonder Woman went from an A+ to an A- with its third act. This dropped from an A- to a B-, C+. The Wolverine just falls off the rails, and it's hard to really forgive the Silver Samurai stuff, but the first 2 acts of The Wolverine are top-notch, and a lot of people forget how good those first 2 acts are. So the first 2 acts of The Wolverine, especially the stuff in Japan, beautiful. Beautiful work. All right, next up, number 10, X-Men The Last Stand, our first major disappointment. We go from a B minus, C plus to a full-on C minus for me. A below average experience. C is my average, so anything above a C is above average, anything below a C is below average. It's a very, very tolerant rating scale. So C minus for me, it just tried to put too much in one film. It fell off so hard from X-Men 2. Brett Ratner didn't feel like he knew what made the X-Men work. The Juggernaut stuff was laughable after we waited forever for him. They put way too many characters in. They wasted Ben Foster. How you waste Ben Foster, I'll never understand. It just doesn't work as a film for me. The dialogue's really cheesy. The action's over the top. There's a lot of like plot stuff that's just very convenient or contrived. X-Men 3 is where things don't really work. So the only X-Men movies I really don't dig are the bottom 4, which is saying something. So next up on the bottom 4, Dark Phoenix. I enjoyed this in theaters. I enjoyed it a lot when I was having the experience of watching it because I've been working press for it and I was so amped to get an X-Men movie because it felt like it had been forever. So for me personally, I gave it like a B minus in theaters, but now it'd be like a C minus, D plus now that I've had some time to calm down and think about it. It really just tried to shove in a trilogy into one movie. The Phoenix Saga should always be a trilogy. There should always be... The Phoenix trilogy should be a love story with Scott and Jean first, and we just met Scott and Jean, and they didn't really allow for any of that. So Dark Phoenix just felt like it was a lot of things shoved at once. They didn't let Alex Shipp be Storm, which is sacrilege because she knows and loves that character so much. They invented new X-Men that weren't necessary because it was easier than using characters they had at their disposal. The stuff with Genosha didn't work for me. Dark Phoenix, like, it's very hit or miss. There's about 40 minutes of great movie in that movie, but there's a lot that isn't. So for me, that is on the lower end of the spectrum. That is my number 11, Dark Phoenix. My number 12 and 13 are almost unwatchable. X-Men Dark Phoenix, I really, really don't enjoy. I've only seen it twice. I remember thinking some of the action was well directed and cool, like the Evan Peters Quicksilver scene. But overall, like, it just didn't know who the X-Men were. And especially after Days of Future Past, which I think is Bryan Singer's best, to go to Bryan Singer's worst was such a painful experience. It wasted a lot of characters. It didn't answer a lot of questions. I'm pretty sure they killed Havoc off screen. It kind of felt like they just hate the Summers brothers. They killed Cyclops unceremoniously. They kill Havoc unceremoniously. And Apocalypse is awful. At least the other ones had interesting villains. How you waste Oscar Isaac, how you throw that away is unacceptable. So this is a D. It would be lower if it wasn't for some cool action. It hurts because we just had Days of Future Past and we went to Apocalypse. So it did give us, Alex Shipp Storm, which I really like. It did give us some cool new characters, so maybe a D+, but certainly not higher than that for me. And then finally, a D-, damn near F, X-Men Origins Wolverine, a movie that exists to give us Deadpool years and years later, a movie that exists to remind us how bad things can go, a movie that exists to say no to Baraka claws, because why would Deadpool have those? A movie that has fake claws when you could have had prosthetic, a movie that just doesn't work. X-Men Origins Wolverine tried to be 5 movies, 0 of them landed. For me, that is the worst of the worst in the X-Men pantheon. So yeah, I don't want to insult the movie and sit here and trash it, but for me, the lowest of the low is X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that is my 13 X-Men film countdown. How cool is it we got 13 X-Men movies? It is a bummer we don't get more of the Fox MCU necessarily. I know there's pros and cons to this Disney X-Men. I'm very excited to see who they cast. I'm very excited to see the shape of the movies. I feel like a fresh start with the X-Men is going to give us a lot. But you gotta put some respect on 20 years of X-Men. We got 2000 to 2020 with the Fox Marvel Universe, and I am so appreciative we got it. 9 out of 13 were very good films, and the 4 that weren't gave us a lot of growth and made the movies better long term. So thank you very much to the X-Men. Thank you very much to everyone that was involved in them. And New Mutants is our swan song, and I'd much rather end the X-Men pantheon on New Mutants than Dark Phoenix, so at least we got that going for us. All right, over to the Streamlabs. Hope you guys enjoyed my review and breakdown. That was fun for me to do. I'm probably going to break out the X-Men New Mutants review. That way people that don't want this full hour can see my New Mutancy goodness, so if you're hearing this, you're here for the whole thing, and I appreciate you. All right, over to... Let's see. We got Michael McCarsell. Michael McCarsell, I am down for the new format going forward. Selfishly, it makes it easier for me to keep up with all the other shows, streams I watch day to day. I'm so glad you enjoyed New Mutants. I'll be watching it in VOD as soon as I get the opportunity. Hell yeah. Thank you for letting me know, Michael McCarsell. I very much value your your opinion. I very much value your opinion. I think I just saw experience pop up. I very much value your opinion. You got great taste in movies, and I like talking to you, so that is an extra informed decision for me. I think Tuesdays and Fridays will help me cover more news, and it'll be cool for comic books, and I think it'll be cool for people that don't want to sit down for an hour, because I have a hard time. It takes me about 6 days to get through one of those 3-hour Joe Rogan interviews, so I have to watch it in chunks. So if I do this in chunks, maybe it'll be easier for folks. So thank you, as ever, for the Streamlabs. Thank you for the input. Let me know. Actually, send me a message, dude. When you've seen New Mutants, I want to hear your take, so send me a message. Jason Ritchie! Hometown friend, good human, Jason Ritchie. In theaters, I saw Inception last week. Saturday, I saw Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home. Tomorrow, New Mutants. And for my birthday weekend, I'll be seeing Tenet and going to a drive-in for Jurassic Park and Jaws. Dude, Jason Ritchie putting in the work, goddamn. That's what, like 8 movies? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies. Dude, good on ya. That's a bitchin' birthday week, man. My birthday's in 2 weeks. I'm hoping Tenet is available around here by then. It's not anywhere in LA, so I won't be able to see Tenet for any time soon, unless it goes to the drive-in. Right now, there's this weird thing where if it's not playing at a theater near you, it's not playing at a drive-in near you. So even though drive-ins are much safer, I can't see Tenet no matter what, which is a real bummer. So I'm very, very jealous, Jason Ritchie. And that's a great birthday week, man. How was Inception in theaters again? That 10-year anniversary screening sounds awesome. And both Spider-Mans plus the original blockbusters of Jurassic Park and Jaws. Jaws started summer blockbusters, and then in my very humble opinion, Jurassic Park elevated them in '93. So that is a hell of a journey of cinema right there, man. That's superhero content, blockbuster content, OG blockbuster content, a little dash of nostalgia with some Inception, which is also blockbuster content. That is how you go to the theater. Good on you, Jason Ritchie. Hell yeah. And thank you, as ever, for the super chat. I very much appreciate it. And enjoy that birthday week, man, and happy birthday. People wish Jason Ritchie a happy birthday. He's great people. We got Smack Talk. I'm in the middle of the desert with barely any reception on day 4 of a cross-country move. Yo, this started off like a movie. Smack Talk's putting in this scope of this super chat. But I just want to say that the news of Chadwick Boseman passing has hit me every day since the news broke. Dude, Sahil, me too, man. I'm actually saving the Remembering Chadwick for the end of the show because I know it's going to tank me like energy-wise. I thought about opening the show with Chadwick, but I knew that would throw off everything for the comics and the New Mutants review and everything else. So I want to remember Chadwick with the honor and dignity he deserves. So I'm going to be talking about him at the end of the episode so I can kind of put myself back together after and get to my workout and get to the rest of my day. But yeah, I'm putting it at the end of the show for the same reason. I've thought about him every day. I very much had to stop everything I was doing. I was in the middle of I was doing Schmoedown stuff and we found out, and then everything fell apart. So I had to for a couple hours, and then once it crashed, and every day it's hit me. So yeah, we'll be talking about Chadwick at the end of the episode, and when we get there, it cannot be overstated how incomparable and incredible that man was. So I completely agree, Sahil. Stay safe in the desert, bro. I just moved a month and a half ago. I totally understand how much moving is a battle. I still haven't gotten my mail here yet. It's a whole thing. Moving's a journey, so be patient and hydrate. Hydrate, 1 for the desert, 2 for the move. Hydrating. All right, thank you all for the super chat and Streamlabs. Let's jump back into the news, shall we? Actually, you know what? Let's talk about Kevin Smith, Chris Jericho. Speaking of Schmoedown, we had our Kevin Smith, Chris Jericho giant throwdown on Friday, and man, oh man, was that a blast. A lot of people have wanted my perspective from the other side of it. So quickly, I'm not going to dive into it for too long because I know a lot of you are here for news, but selfishly, it was such an honor to coach Kevin Smith and to talk shit to Chris Jericho from a safe quarantine distance more than I can possibly convey is the word I'm looking for. See, I can't even conveying. It was such a great match. If you haven't seen it yet, it is on right now YouTube for free. It was free when it dropped. It was a live stream free, and it was neck and neck. And I'm not going to give anything else away, but being a part of that and having palms sweaty and being a fan of both these gentlemen, I don't know Chris Jericho's work, but his work ethic, and then Kevin Smith, obviously childhood hero. You guys saw my promo. I'm a giant Kevin Smith fan. So everything about it was just incredible, and to be a part of it was such an honor. Training Kevin was an honor. We've got some ideas cooking for where we're going next. The back and forth, the back and forth pun off with me and Kevin Smith that happens during that is one of my favorite moments of my hosting career, and I'm very proud of being able to go tete-a-tete with one of the sharpest wits in the game. Kevin Smith's mouth and mind are very impeccably moistened at all times, and I was so flattered and honored, and it was such a good time. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, Kevin Smith versus Chris Jericho on the Schmoedown page right now. It is a barn burner. It is crazy. I'm honored to represent Kevin Smith and the Quirky Mercs. I'm very excited for what we do next, and know that Kevin Smith is even cooler than you think he is. So if you've been a Kevin Smith movie fan for a long time, if you've been an Evening with Kevin Smith fan, if you're a fan of Fat Man Beyond, know that Kevin Smith is even cooler than he seems on screen. He's the best. So so much love for working with Kevin, and so much love for the Schmoedown community and those of you that watch it and those of you that are here for that reason. I'm really excited for the rest of the season. A lot of really cool things are cooking up, and I'm really excited for next year and some of the ideas. So yeah, Kevin is the man, and the Schmoedown makes me very happy. So tune in. Keep your ears peeled and eyes peeled and everything else peeled, your nose peeled if you sniff out news. I'm very excited, and that match was so much fun, and I've definitely made an enemy of Chris Jericho, and that's also an exciting feather in my cap. Who gets to make enemies with Chris Jericho? This guy. All right, let's get to some of the updates for the big superhero movies down the line. We've got movies coming out in 2021 that originally were supposed to come out this year. We've got 2022 movies that were supposed to be next year. We've got movies that have been in the pipeline for years and years dropping soon, including these two right here. We've got an update on Black Adam. Now, Black Adam is being developed by The Rock and Hiram Garcia, and they've been developing this for 10 years. 10 years Black Adam has been moving and grooving, and they, with this comment, have made me even more excited, saying, quote, "We are so excited to introduce the Justice Society, especially Hawkman, who's such a beloved character and one of those heroes who's always meant so much to the DC Universe. Having them play in the same sandbox as Black Adam is going to be fantastic. And for the already established fans of these characters, I think they're going to be really excited to see what elements from classic storylines we take inspiration from as we bring these characters together. When you take a powerhouse like Black Adam and inject him into the DC Cinematic Universe, you want to make sure you're putting characters around him that can rally up to stakes. As DJ likes to say, the hierarchy of power in the DC Universe really is going to change. So Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone will have their hands full no matter how we choose to have them interact with Black Adam." Yo, Black Adam's fighting the JSA at least at one point. That's what I hear out of that, which is what I assumed going forward. But also, man oh man, is that exciting that we get to be in a world where the JSA is not only relevant, but also that The Rock is going to bring an entirely new audience to the JSA. The Rock movies always do well. Even his stinkers bring in millions of dollars. And his movies are giant blockbusters that raise awareness for all sorts of things. Now the JSA, including Hawkman, the character of Hawkman is going to be a household name when this movie comes out. Hawkman is coming to a theater near you, so that is super exciting for me. That quote means they're invested. They're at least saying the right buzzwords, but that's enough for me at this point in the game. They're saying classic storylines. There's so much history at the JSA. These characters are not surface mainstream characters. How many Hawkman shirts do you see? How many Cyclone backpacks do you see? How much merch do you see for Atom Smasher? They're about to be huge, and through the power of The Rock's celebrity and work ethic, we are going to get a very, very credible JSA. I know how much he's invested in this movie. 10 years is not a short amount of time. That previs footage from Boss Logic is so cool and exciting, and the fact that they're investing in the mythology so much, that means these characters will definitely have a great opportunity to be everything they could be in this medium. So this quote, plus Hiram Garcia, who's produced all The Rock stuff, or most of The Rock stuff, plus Dwayne Johnson himself being so invested, plus rumors of Alexander Skarsgård as Hawkman, all of these ingredients are very, very hopeful for this movie. And I don't know about you guys, but everyone thinks I'm a Marvel guy, and I'm wearing a shirt in honor of Black Panther right now, and yes, I've got a Deadpool, but it's because there's so much less content of the DC Universe. It's so much harder to find DC art. It's so much harder to find DC merch because the movies, they've had less time. It's not one is better than the other. It's that DC started later, and it's that Batman has been a force of nature in cinema, but we just got a Wonder Woman movie. After Linda Carter was 40 years ago, Wonder Woman. We finally got Wonder Woman. So I'm really, really excited to have a new wave of DC stuff so people can see that comic books are everything. Like, there's not just one studio, there's not just Disney, there's so much more. And now with DC rallying like this, we are in a beautiful age of there's about to be competition. Competition only makes both parties better. I think DC is about to have a golden age. I think we're about to see what Marvel went through in their phase 2 when they got Winter Soldier and Guardians and all that with the DC universe. So we're gonna have Image putting out great work. We're going to have tons of indie comics on TV. We're going to have Marvel putting out their Phase 4 and Phase 5. And then we've got DC restructuring for glory with Black Adam. This is a glorious time. It's all win. I'm very excited. Bring on the DC movies. Bring on the shared universe content. Bring on the about to be multiverse through the Flash. Bring on the Black Adam corner with Shazam. Bring on everything. It's the best time to be a comic nerd. I'm very excited. So, Black Adam, more and more exciting. Over to the world of Marvel. Speaking of Marvel, we have an Ant-Man update. It's very short, but it's exciting. From Peyton Reed, the director himself, said, quote, "We are working a way through the pandemic." They're working through it. They're working away. They're not stopping. There's some really, really exciting things in the store, none of which, of course, I could speak to you about right now, as is the Marvel way. I think the third Ant-Man movie is going to be a much bigger, more sprawling movie than the first two. It's going to have a very different visual template. Very short quote, but it says a lot. I think we're going to get more Giant Man stuff. I think we're going to go cosmic. I think they're going to go into the multiverse. I think we might even get some End Zone. I think we might bring in the Fantastic Four's End Zone and all those things. I think they're going to get a bigger budget, make it more tied into the Marvel Universe. If you think about Ant-Man, it's one of the rare Marvel films that's kind of like Marvel and Ant-Man. Guardians is the same way, but they're in space. Ant-Man 2 didn't really tie into the MCU till the post-credit scene. I think Ant-Man 3, they're going to make much more related, and that also brings me to my theory of the Young Avengers. I think Cassie is going to be hugely important because I think she and her team are going to be introduced at the end of Ant-Man 3. I think we're getting the scope of the next forming of the team through Ant-Man 3, and I think they might go into the multiverse to do that. I think there's going to be a lot of craziness. I really, really think Ant-Man 3 is going to be much more important to the MCU than the rest. So I'm very hopeful. I happen to like the Ant-Man movies. I happen to like Paul Rudd's separate take. I happen to like the fact that they're going to be embracing a shared concept theoretically. This is just my read off this, but most of all, I'm really excited for them to get a little bit more to do, because I personally I like Ant-Man and the Wasp more than Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp had better villains. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp let Wasp be a character. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp embraced the benefits of Ant-Man 1, but then made it better. So if they keep learning from their movies, they also used Michael Pena's character incredibly, David Dastmalchian, like the supporting cast got more to do. I just feel like there was way more in Ant-Man 2 than Ant-Man 1. I feel like Ant-Man 1, they kept being like, why isn't the Wasp doing this? Funny joke, and then it was like, well, she should. So I think that we can do even better with Ant-Man 3. So this quote means they're investing, they're excited, and I think that's only good that they're working their way through quarantine, because now's a great time to do rewrites. Now's a great time to be in pre-production because you're stuck at home. So bring on Ant-Man 3. I'm very, very hopeful. All right, quick pop over to the Streamlabs, and then we got a couple more bits of small news. There was actually a decent amount of news popping through the zeitgeist this week. Roman Carlisle says, "Hey Coy, gonna do a movie marathon this weekend. Harry Potter or Fox X-Men?" I mean, I gotta say, in honor of New Mutants, what better time to do an X-Men watch along, right, Roman? Like, Harry Potter's great. I'm a huge, huge fan of Harry Potter. Less so Fantastic Beasts, but I've been trying. I watched Fantastic Beasts 2 this last week. But X-Men, like, it's a bigger bite, man. That's a lot more content. But you got 13 movies of glory leading up to New Mutants. So what you could do is enjoy the 12 leading up to that coming out on VOD, or if you can find a drive-in or a safe theater. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to tie those in. So I say X-Men, personally, but yeah, go X-Men. Roman, that's my vote. My vote is X-Men for all those reasons. The timeliness, the superhero flavor. Harry Potter's great, but also you're better off watching Harry Potter at Christmas. Watch the Harry Potter movies. We're still going to be in quarantine at Christmas. Watch the Harry Potter movies then as a Christmas journey, because that's a great thematic element to them. There's way more summer flavor to X-Men, which is where we're at now. We're ending the summer, end it with blockbusters, end it with X-Men. That's my take. Okay, over to just a quick brief news. The Eternals is now Eternals. They gave the to James Gunn. He thanked them and everything. There was a great joke tweet saying, like, thank you for the on the Suicide Squad from the Eternals. Just like Facebook, they got rid of the to make it cooler. It is now just Eternals. So Eternals comes out in 2021 minus the. HBO Max is going to follow up their West Wing reunion, which I am ecstatic about. I am so excited for the West Wing reunion. I have become a huge West Wing fan. They're bringing the cast back together. They're doing a table read. They're doing an unscripted thing. They're doing all sorts of stuff on HBO Max. I'm very excited. But they're following that up with a freaking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is a classic, incredible show. They're doing a reunion episode that's going to air around Thanksgiving. The actual reunion September 10th, which is around the corner. And then the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is coming to HBO Max. They're doing a reboot of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as a drama, which is fascinating because that's loosely based off of like this viral video, and I think that's always interesting when that turns into a real thing. But there is going to be a story all about how Will Smith's got flipped upside down, and he'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. He's going to tell you the story again of how he became the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I'm very excited for HBO Max to give us more and more of that, and I'm all in. So we are going to get all of that glory coming at you in November, and I think the HBO Max West Wing reunion is in October because it's leading up to voting. So it's a rally to get people to vote. So I think that's going to be October late, and then mid-November around Thanksgiving, we're going to be getting freaking awesome Fresh Prince goodness. So very excited. All right, over to the world of casting news. We got a new movie coming out with Gerard, Butler, Frank Grillo, directed by Joe Carnahan, called CopShop. I love 90s thrillers. I love when Carnahan and Grillo team up. They've got a production company together, so they do it often. One of my favorite movies that isn't out yet is called this year is called Boss Level. One of my top 2020 movies was supposed to come out in theaters, and then theater stopped. It's called Boss Level. It's Carnahan, Frank Grillo. It's fantastic. Frank Grillo is one of those actors more people should know. He's a genius. Him teaming up with Gerard Butler for a movie called CopShop about a police station that gets caught in a crossfire between like drug dealers and dirty cops. It's my shit. Bring me that. I'm excited. Grillo, anything. Butler, sure. Carnahan, hell yeah. I'm in. Next up in the world of casting, a very logical casting choice. The fantastic Jack Quaid has joined the cast of Scream. The boy's own Jack Quaid. He's charming, he's delightful, he's the right age bracket, he's gonna be in Scream. Give me that casting choice, hell yeah. Scream recently got pushed to 2022. It was originally supposed to come out in 2021, it got pushed a year, so we are getting Jack Quaid in 2022's Scream 5. The original cast is returning, including Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox. Very exciting stuff. If you're a Scream fan, as I am, this is cool news, and Jack Quaid is fantastic, so I'm very excited about that. So give me that Scream 5 whenever you can. Also want to say before I get into my comic book recommendations and streaming recommendations, do check out the Kevin Smith match with Chris Jericho. Check out my reviews from the last 2 weeks. I've done Death Note Season 1 Part 1. I guess there's only one season. I reviewed Death Note Season 1 Part 1. I reviewed My Hero Academia Season 2 Part 2. I'm now halfway through the second season of My Hero Academia. You can check out all those reviews on this very page. I also reviewed The Incredible Candy, one of my favorite films of all time. Those are all thanks to good patrons that say it's cool to put them on YouTube. So they're all available for you. And then there's also a Comic Books and Craft Beer where we covered all of Y the Last Man. We're going to do Saga next, probably this month, September. And it's going to be Spirits and Saga. We're going to go with a little bit harder booze, talking Saga, and I'm bringing Jenny Newman back for that as well. And then Coy-Lection just did an episode of K through Z of my DVDs. We're going to do t-shirts next. I saw the t-shirt love at the top of this, and I appreciate it. This is a OG Marvel shirt they don't make anymore from the early 2000s. They had this whole painted series where they basically had like incredible new wave Marvel characters painted on shirts. So I don't know where you can get this now, but it's an OG fave from about 10 years ago, maybe 12. But thank you for the shirt love. All right, let me check on the chat and the Streamlabs, and then I'll give you guys some recommendations, and then we're going to close out the show talking about the great Chadwick Boseman. All right, let's see. A new guy, I like his name already. A new guy just said, got paid, just joined the Patreon. I love your content. Oh, dude, thank you so much, man. I'm very proud of my Patreon. I put a lot of work into that thing, and I love connecting with people, and I love making content and being creative, and with Patreon, I get to eat. So thank you very much for becoming a patron, and I thank you for the kind words, a new guy, and I already like your name, so I appreciate you. A new guy has joined the patronage. All right, over to... Let's look at the chat real quick, and then I'm going to give you guys some streaming recs, and we're going to talk all about the great Chadwick Boseman. All right, people are excited about CopShop. People are excited about the Fresh Prince. I do not think the first Aunt Viv is invited because I feel like there's some bad blood there, but who knows? Talk about the West Wing recap show. Man, oh man, I would love to do a walk and talk West Wing recap, especially since I speak Sorkin. Sorkin sounds like my brain, and it makes me so happy. But I don't think I could cover 7 years of West Wing, and I frankly, I'm watching it all the way through. Maybe I'll do a general West Wing recovery. Let's see. People are excited about Ant-Man. People are very excited about Black Adam. Let's see. Ben Foster as Hawkman. That'd be ironic considering the Angel conversation we were just having. Hawkman was solid in Smallville. Look at all the Hawkman love. Dude, I love this. The Koi Pond is rad. People excited about Hawkman mean you guys know who Hawkman is. That is so dope. Alright. How do we like the New Mutants conversations? Seem to go fairly well. Make sure I'm missing that. More shirt love. I appreciate you. Alright, my mom's in here. Hi to my mother. I am occasionally mad at Bryan Singer. He does bad things to people and to characters. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Next time I will do a thumbs up for spoilers. I apologize. I can do that next time. I'll give you some sort of crazy hand signals for spoilers for the conversation. That's a great idea. And Joseph Ashley, this is in fact Alex Ross. Let's see. All right, back to the polls, and my mom is the best. All right, so my polls for last week were the books I recommend from the week of August 26th. So available right now at your comic store. You can pick these up today. I loved last week. My top 9 were Action Comics 1024. Batman 3 Jokers is my book of the week from last week. Daredevil Annual #1 is damn near close to that book of the week as well. Those are my top 2 books for sure. John Constantine Hellblazer #9 continues to be the best title that just got canceled. I'm so upset. That book is so good. Plunge #6. The Question, Deaths of Vic Sage #4. Suicide Squad #8. Wonder Woman 761. And X-Men #11. So anyone that is picking up comic books, let me know what you guys are enjoying in the chat. Those are the ones I recommend. As ever, those are just my top 9. You can see what I thought of every book I read last week as a patron. It's one of my lower tiers. I rate every single comic I read because my OCD benefits others to help them buy comics. So if you're not a patron, that is one of the tiers. This week, the book's available tomorrow, I recommend. Now going forward, remember, we're going to do what I recommend for tomorrow on Tuesday's show, and then on Friday's show, we're going to do reviews, and we'll briefly talk about those 9 comics. That'll be a fun way to mix it up. So this is the second to last week of this long form. Tomorrow, the 2nd of September, Ascender #12, Batman 98, Black Widow #1, Cable #4, Coffin Bound #6, Deceased Dead Planet #3, which I've read, it's fantastic. Also, that Batman book is fantastic. Batman 98 is so good. Empire #6, Fantastic Four 23, Firepower #3 is my second pull of the week. There's 2 pulls this week. Firepower #3 is #2. Firepower #3, highly recommend. Guardians of the Galaxy #6, Hellblazer Rise and Fall #1 is Tom Taylor and Derek Robertson, 2 dudes I appreciate very much. Both incredible talents. New Hellblazer book. Highly recommended. Inkblot #1. Marvel Zombies Resurrection #1. Marvel's Miles Morales Spider-Man #18. New Mutants #12. Sex Criminals XXX Special. Shazam 14. My book of the week. Strange Adventures #5. This book looks stunning. I cannot wait to go to the store and pick it up. Strange Adventures #5 is my pull of the week. Teen Titans Beast Boy from the great Candy Garcia. Much love for Candy. And Greg Piccolo. Fantastic artist. We Only Find Them When They're Dead. I know nothing about this book, but the title is We Only Find Them When They're Dead. So I'm going to pick it up. #1. Wolverine #5. A Kubert drawing Wolverine. I will always buy. And Young Justice #11. Those are the comics I recommend you pick up this week. My reading list, I'm reading all my weekly books. Last week I read Ultimate Universe. I'm reading the Ultimate Universe chronologically, and someone asked for me to list them. So there's a website called Fandom, and Fandom, if you typed in Ultimate Marvel reading list, it gives you it in chronological order, not release order, as if when it took place in the universe order. So last week I read Ultimate Marvel Team Up 1-5 and Ultimate X-Men 1-6. This week I am reading Ultimate Marvel Team Up 6-13, Ultimate X-Men 1/2, and then starting Ultimate Thor. So I'm catching up to the modern day of where Spider-Man's issue 13 or so. Okay, and then as far as streaming recommendations, it's a kind of a low week because we're already into September. Last week I gave you guys my September 1, which is today, but starting September 4th, some of the things I recommend are Prisoners drops on the 10th on Hulu. Prisoners is a genius film. Some of the best of Hugh Jackman, some of the best of Jake Gyllenhaal, some of the best of Paul Dano. It's a powerhouse movie. Amazon, The Boys Season 2 premieres this Friday, September 4th. The Boys Season 2. We'll be talking about that every week. It is a weekly show. We'll be doing weekly reviews, talking all about the goodness that is The Boys Season 2. And then over on Disney Plus, D2, The Mighty Ducks, drops Friday, as does D3, but D2 is much more exciting. The Mighty Ducks gets their sequels. Never Been Kissed. We're starting to have the Fox portfolio fold over to Disney Plus with Never Been Kissed. The Wolverine, a 2/3 great film, is also available on the 4th, and Mulan is available to purchase for $30 starting on the 4th. And then it'll be apparently free in December. Thus, negating movie theaters even further. Fucking choices. Okay, so that is what I am reading, what I am watching, what I recommend you guys watch, and let's talk about Chadwick Boseman for a second. Actually, you know what? I'm going to check the Streamlabs one last time so I can actually talk to you guys, because I'm going to try to read the chat. I'm going to try to, it's on my phone, it's small, but I'm going to try to read it as we go along. So I want to be as focused as possible. Okay. This week, we lost one of the incredible talents of our generation. We lost one of the most important people to pop culture, to Black lives, to what the world could be. Chadwick Boseman passed away on Friday, and he passed away from colon cancer, which he had been fighting for 4 years. Chadwick Boseman gave us all of his Black Panther while either going through various stages of remission, surgery, chemo. He played Jackie Robinson, and then soon thereafter found out he had cancer, and then kept fighting privately and quietly, and gave us some of the most important content we've got in the last 4 years. Whether or not you like Black Panther, whether or not you think the third act is all I get the animation stuff with the third act, but the movie itself is incredible, and the movie itself is important. And even if you don't like the movie, which people have been arguing in a weird tone-deaf way, what it represents is so much bigger than any of us. So what Black Panther became is insurmountable. It's you can't even comprehend how important that movie is, and what he was able to do while literally fighting cancer is incredible. If any of us could be half the man Chadwick Boseman is, if we could be half as productive when he wasn't sick, imagining the pain he was in, to the point where Ryan Coogler didn't even know he had cancer, and he was directing him as Black Panther. They were working on Black Panther 2, and Ryan Coogler didn't know. If you haven't read it, Ryan Coogler's message about Black Panther is really powerful, really important, and a must-read. Check out his statement, because just the man that Chadwick Boseman was. In the days following his death, we've heard only the best of things about him, and that's what I heard when he was alive. And he's one of those guys that you just hear, and the person just gets better. He was an actual superhero in that, you take the mask of Black Panther off, and the man underneath's even better. And after he passed, the man that we're discovering he was is even more of a hero than the celebrity that he was trying not to be. He wasn't a public figure. He was a public figure, but he didn't want to be a public figure. And I also got to say, what great friends and family and doctors he had to this not leak. I love that his family got the respect and honor of controlling how this information came to us. It's one of the great atrocities of 2020, and there are plenty that Kobe's family found out from TMZ because of the helicopter crash. They didn't get to find out on their own. They found out with the public, and it's disgusting. And I love that Chadwick Boseman's family was able to keep this to themselves for 4 years. They were able to have the privacy to let him go through this on his own terms, and that's a rare and beautiful thing, and it shouldn't be rare, but it is. And for Chadwick to know that his friends were that trustworthy is invaluable, and for us to just be able to not ask him that bullshit on red carpets, and for him to fucking do red carpets. The amount of work, a film set is 16, 18 hours sometimes, and then press is grueling and all over the world, and flying and traveling, and then popping into surgeries and chemotherapy, and the strength it took to be that man publicly, and then to find out the strength of it privately, is just incredible. So Chadwick Boseman, if we could be any part of the strength that you represented, if anyone wants to wake up better tomorrow in honor of Chadwick, look to the king that we had living amongst us. Look to the actual superhero that we had living day to day, and we had no idea that he was even more than we imagined. Him talking to kids that are sick and not... I can't imagine the strength of talking to kids with cancer and them holding on for your movie, and then knowing you're fighting that same battle. And I can't imagine his family. I can't imagine his family knowing he had cancer and then not seeing him for 6 months at a time. The gift they gave us, the gift that the Boseman family gave us to have him keep making movies when he was sick. To know that you have limited time with someone, and then for them to leave for 6 months, they were selfless. And the work he did, Jackie Robinson is an icon, and he embodied that and Thurgood Marshall embodied that. Like Get On Up was one of the best biopics, and he was everything in that role. And then Black Panther. On top of that, an actual superhero. And it's really important that black kids get to see that everyone doesn't look like Iron Man and Cap and Spider-Man. And it's so, can't be overstated how horrible this timing is. Because right now, like, the world's so shitty. And to lose your hero in that time, I can't even imagine. So yeah, I just, all of the respect and love to Chadwick Boseman, to his family, to his friends, to everything he gave us, to the incredible body of work he gave us, to what he showed us humans can be. That's forever. We'll always have T'Challa, and we'll always have the knowledge that he was even more than we thought. And so I want, if anything, if you guys are following me, if you're watching this show, be better than you were yesterday. Be stronger than you think you can be. Do more for others than you thought possible. Take care of your fellow man. And just, like, embody the goodness that he was. And embrace your T'Challa, embrace your king, embrace your regal nobility, and be just better. One of the coolest things about the character of T'Challa is he's like James Bond meets a king, meets Captain America, meets, like, he's 100 things, and all of them are good. He has to balance going home and running a country and taking care of his people as individuals and the world at large and his superhero team, and he does all of that. Like, and so did Chadwick Boseman. So yeah, just be better. So I've been watching Chadwick Boseman movies this week. I watched Da 5 Bloods 2 days ago, and I loved it. I'm gonna watch 42 this week at some point, and I'm gonna watch Get On Up this week at some point. Just, hold him in your memory and just think about what a figurehead he was for doing the right thing. I got to meet him once. I'm going to end on this anecdote because it relates and it's not name dropping, and I'm sorry for anyone that felt, I even felt weird. Like, it's so shitty that people sensationalize celebrity that, like, I felt weird, like, putting his picture in the graphic, but I wanted to talk about him, and that's part of the show. But it just felt weird because we've, like, ruined so many names, and we've like, people are so gross when it comes to this. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Chadwick Boseman. I met him once, and his regality and poise and strength and charm and shy. He was shy, but, like, proud in a way that I can't quite quantify. Like, he had all of the confidence of anyone, but it wasn't arrogance in any way because he was shy about that confidence. And he literally felt like a king. When I met him, I ran into a hallway. I was doing press on a movie, and he was doing press on a movie. Actually, this is public. I did a sit down with the Russo brothers for 21 Bridges. And while I was there, I ran into Chadwick Boseman because he was doing press for the movie. And we talked for, like, a couple minutes. I had a couple minutes of his time, and he was super gracious with his time. But, like, we were walking, and I was just, like, overwhelmed with the fact that I felt like I should bow. I felt like I was in the presence of such glory. And it wasn't arrogant. Somehow it was a king that didn't feel like he was putting down anyone. And somehow his intelligence just read in every line in his face, and his strength was so commanding. And that was while he was fighting cancer, I found out. Like, to find that out after, like, I remember talking to everyone of my friend group, like, my personal friends, like, saying, like, yeah, I met Chadwick Boseman, and, like, he had more presence than almost anyone I've ever met. And then to find out he was fighting cancer when I met someone that I was overwhelmed by their presence is saying a lot. So I want to say rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for inspiring so many people that need it. Thank you for inspiring the world. Thank you for fighting to do what's right and to show us how to be better. So rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, and be good this week. Be good every week. Fight harder. Do more than you thought possible. And I will see you guys next week, and then we're going to kick it over to twice a week. I appreciate the hell of you. I will see you very soon. I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm not going to check the comments or anything, because I'm kind of just like, I'm the sad boy. Yeah, much love for Chadwick. Much love for you guys. Thank you for always being here. Fuck this year. But also remember, this year isn't going to be over at the drop of midnight. Things can still keep going, so just make good choices. Otherwise, 2020 is forever. Make good choices or 2021 just becomes 2020 part 2. Be more like Chadwick Boseman, make the world a better place. Take action. Be strong. Be smart. Value intelligence. Look at any of his interviews. Look at how gracious she was to people. Look at how giving he was to people. Look at how much he cared about people. Care about people. Learn, grow, be, become. Yeah. Much love for Chadwick Boseman. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks all.